what's so special about Coimbra? In past conversations, when I asked people around me which city they prefer, Lisbon or Porto, to my surprise, others would say Coimbra. So this curiosity led me here in Portugal's third largest city, one that's unassumingly laid out on both sides of the Mondego River in central Portugal. I say unassumingly because as a city, Coimbra doesn't seem to go straight for the jugular, nor demand for your attention. Instead, it flourishes in its own quiet magnificence, its own atmosphere and tradition. This is a city full of history, culture and life. A city of kings and queens, of artists, academics and scholars and star-crossed lovers. A city that was once formidably the capital of Portugal. Like most of the country, Coimbra has Roman, Visigothic and Moorish origins, but it was in the Christian Reconquest that the city took a turn of its own. This was once the capital of Portugal between the centuries of 1139 to 1385, during the reign of the first king, Afonso Henriques, and henceforth Coimbra blossomed into a city of stature. As soon as you enter the city, you can feel the cavalcade of time, of stately and ornate architecture that announces the importance of this place. A lot of the city has been so preserved that as soon as we wind up to the hill to get to our apartment, streets have become narrower and narrower. You'd wonder if it's even advisable driving up in the city. And boy, it got medieval really quick.
Jess, this is so crazy. I'm trying my best. Oh my god. Driving in Europe, guys. I'm this close to a wall right now. Oh my god. I don't think I can fit in there. No. Jens.
What the Okay, we did manage to squeeze through that narrowest passageway invented in all of human history and park the car in that gorgeous square. But first, let me fast forward real quick to the following morning when I investigated a specific concern. Good morning, guys. It's now a weekend in Coimbra and the city is really beautiful. Coimbra is really beautiful. We're staying right in front of this incredible medieval church, Sevilla, and I'd like to show you something right now. Think about this. It's an 11th century church. And this is the pathway where cars go. Look how tight it is. And just at the side of the church, with all the car marks and scratches. Nothing to worry about. I mean, if it could stand for more than, 800, 900 years, any car scratch, right, wouldn't do any harm. So it's fine. Nothing to see here. Let's just say maybe UNESCO hasn't seen this one yet. But before I take you anywhere, let's take a quick look at where we stayed in Coimbra, in the Almedina neighborhood, right across this incredibly preserved 11th century church, Sevilla. One thing you need to understand is that Coimbra is a medieval city, so a lot of the old historic part is built on top and around a hill, and that makes up the upper town. And then there's Baixão, the downtown, where the city spreads out on the northern side of the Mondego River with a mix of Renaissance, Pombaline and even Art Nouveau architecture. We arrived in an afternoon in Coimbra, so we spent a few hours getting to know the city, ambling and exploring the tiny alleyways, the many stairways that snake through the old town, the unexpectedly charming old squares, and just easing into the Coimbra atmosphere. We walked around the upper town for a bit, exploring the Almedina, the neighborhood within a medieval walled city with a strong Moorish influence. Don't miss out going through the Arco Almedina, which serves as a gateway to the walled city. Here we wanted to explore the local gastronomy, so we stopped by for some wine tasting and try out some local charcuterie and cheeses at Cabra Velha, which offers excellent wines and local produce. Then later for dinner, we chose the traditional Zé Manel dos Ossos, which is some sort of dyed-in-the-wool local favourite restaurant in downtown Coimbra. A small tavern with walls that tells the stories of its clients, apparently loved by a lot of Coimbra students.
Hey friends, we're in Coimbra at Restaurant Zé Manel dos Ossos, Zé Manuel of the Bones, and right now we're starting with feijoada, which is a bean-based dish which has bits of wild pork inside of it. It comes in this beautiful crock full of beans and pork. You can have a little taste of it that's over rice. It's steaming hot. It looks so tender. Let's give it a taste. Whew, it's so hot I have to blow on it a little bit. Ooh. This is like comfort food at its best. Simple, comforting, hot, warm, has all those textures of the tender meat and beans. Love it.
Next day is a full day of Coimbra sightseeing. We started downtown and grabbed some breakfast at the classic Café Santa Cruz, with that stunning facade and graceful arches. This former chapel turned coffee house also offers perhaps the best Portuguese pastries we've ever tried. Hi guys, so we are in Café Santa Cruz in downtown Coimbra. They're famous for what they call as cruzios, which is pastry made of eggs and almonds, and it originated from this cafe, and they're known to be convent pastries, so they were created when this was a convent before.
It's got all the good Portuguese dessert things, almonds, sugar, egg yolk. Look at all the texture on there. It looks like it's going to be crunchy and flaky.
So let's give it a try. I love the crunchy exterior of the almonds.
I love the texture. The almonds are crunchy and roasted. Just a little bit of the pastry, and it's not too sweet. Sometimes the Portuguese sweets can be a little bit sweet.
And surprisingly, it's not too sweet. It's just the right amount of sugar.
And so I'm in heaven right now. I can definitely see why this pastry is so popular. I'm gonna have another bite. So crunchy.
It tastes really Christmassy. Like it's as if it's like a Christmas. At least for me, it's like a Christmas tree. It's beautiful. Moving on, Coimbra is a city of kings, and literally next door is Igreja de Santa Cruz. This is one of the most important churches in the country, for this is where the first two kings of Portugal, Afonso Henriques and Sancho I, are buried. Go inside to marvel at the tile-covered walls and see that beautiful Baroque pipe organ on display. Outside, also check out Jardim de Manga, this Renaissance-style cloister which was used as a fountain for the Santa Cruz Monastery. For our Christian friends, this was built to represent the fountain of life and the 4 rivers that flowed in the Garden of Eden. Since we're on the theme of churches, you can't miss the old cathedral up the hill, Sé Velha. Apparently this is the only surviving Portuguese Romanesque cathedral from the Age of Reconquest, practically built during the founding of Portugal, so it's only pertinent that we explore its full glory. Walk inside and explore the exquisite altarpiece, the gilded woodwork from Flemish masters, some of the most beautiful high Renaissance work you'll see in Portugal. Also, go inside further and walk around the monastery cloisters, the first Gothic construction in this country. Outside in the steps of the old cathedral is where apparently an old tradition happens, where the students of the Coimbra University perform a monumental serenade of fado, marking the beginning of Queima das Fitas, or burning of the ribbons, the university's end-of-the-year festival. Speaking of the university, perhaps the ultimate landmark to see is the crowning glory of the city. Rightfully perched at the top of the old town, overlooking the glorious Coimbra panorama, is the iconic and majestic Coimbra University. This is Portugal's oldest educational institution and one of the oldest universities in Europe and the world. As soon as you walk into its main square, you'd feel its significance immediately. And since it's on top of the hill, you'll see incredible views of the lush and green Coimbra countryside. We visited during the weekend, so there's barely any sight of students on the ground, but it's nonetheless spectacular. Since 2013, the university is listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The university itself was founded in Lisbon in 1290, but it wasn't until the early 16th century that the university was definitely moved to what was once a royal palace. Do go in and see the Great Hall of Acts, which is an ancient throne room of a royal palace, lined with portraits of past kings, and is now used as the university's grand examination room. Outside, there's the Capella de São Miguel, this beautiful Manuelin work of art, all lined with magnificent azulejos and floral motifs. And next door is the eye-catching and exquisitely Baroque Biblioteca Joanina, which is in itself a national monument, housing the oldest surviving Portuguese literature available to humanity. We stayed longer around the square, admiring its aesthetic and historical value, adoring that university tower, which is considered an icon in Coimbra, plus staring out on that beautiful countryside beyond that terrace. I mean, I've probably said beautiful so many times in this documentary before, but seriously, this is probably the most sublime scenery a university could ever ask for. That's it for part 1 of In the Mood for Coimbra. I love historic cities, and Coimbra just entirely blew my mind. I've yet to go deep into the heart and soul of the city, so stay tuned for part 2 as Coimbra gives you one of the most heartbreaking stories you'll ever hear. So if you love my videos and support what I do, click subscribe and let's get this In the Mood for Life videos rolling straight into your screen. Sharing my love for meaningful videos, soulful travel, fascinating histories, good food, and the good life. Catch you all soon in the next video.